anyways, guys, I figure we just get right into it. Okay, no wasting time, no foreplay. We can just get right into it. Okay, if we want to finish the rest of this hour long, I think we have to start as soon as possible. Hitting the video raw, yeah. Oh yeah. I say we just go back like a minute or two just to remember where we were and then go from there. Let's fucking go.
Which would be an example of his opinions on the Black Lives Matter protesters who he was talking about on stream in that moment. He did not take a moderate position about not liking their presence there in the streets at that time. Okay. It was a very extremist position that advocated for their open murder. So that's an example. There's literally video of it.
They should be murdered. That's what he said. These activists should be murdered.
He said they should be MOWED down, wantonly.
Down.
Yeah.
Okay, we should fact check that. But that's just one of many examples where relatively moderate people, even moderately Republican people,
that was a great place to go to
permanently, and not even necessarily for political points. It was like, I don't know, a nip slip or something like that. From it was small things that eventually added up to there being a huge demand for this alternative platform.
Listen, I'm gonna hit a bit of a reset button here because I'm more interested in some of your opinions here about like art and what you said in your video. To be honest,
cool. All right,
I feel like we've gotten into the weeds of insanity here a little bit. Yeah. And I just want to like ask you here to kind of get to because I see a lot of what you're saying in this video as kind of like an analog for a lot of Kanye fans feel around my Vultures 1 review and how people feel about the record generally in kind of a negative way. And you seem to, you know, again, kind of like take issue with this idea that, you know, he's not being given credit despite the fact that he's a generational artist, and you know, and you yourself acknowledge he said bad things and he's gone too far. And
the links in the description also said he's directly contributing to the rising number.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying any of that. You know, I'm not. You've acknowledged that he's done and said bad things. You know, I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to understand from your point of view is like, to what extent in your mind do we like owe it to the art or owe it to the artist to acknowledge what we perceive to be their greatness, their artistry, their whatever, regardless of how bad they or the messaging in the artist is, or the messaging in the art is? Because hypothetically, let's say like, I don't know, there was like, I run a YouTube channel, I review music, and I stumble across what's possibly the most racist band ever. Their content is even full of like violent imagery and advocating for like, you know, hanging people, so on and so forth. But you know what, the production goes hard. And you know what, that Peggy beat on the record is insane. Like, do I owe it to the album to like talk about it and praise it and whatever, just because like I think it sounds kind of good?
That's an instance of where the problematic opinions are in the art. So that's
Kanye trivializing anti-Semitism and saying that he's not racist, he just has a preference, and says that his wife is a reference.
You don't think that's a slippery slope?
Well, wait a second. You don't think trivializing anti-Semitism and kind of laughing off his anti-Semitic comments as if they aren't anti-Semitic is not going going far? After he said, I'm a Nazi and I love Hitler and like
talking about murdering people and hanging people, I think it's...
Well, yeah, okay. That's, which I think is fair to an extent. I just want to understand like where the border is. Like how much racial hatred and anti-Semitism on a song or a record is too much for you? Like, if it's just one.
Someone said it looks like this dude is streaming from a doctor's office, and you're so right. You're so right. He does. I think it might just be a generic Zoom background. It might be. You might be right. How can you accuse the other person of slippery slope when you're like, no, we should allow a little bit of anti-Semitism, a little bit of racism?
One bar, is it okay? If it's just the chorus and the verses don't have it in there, like, can we let it slide?
I don't interpret any of his bars to be directly anti-Semitic, they may be referring to other people labeling him as anti-Semitic. And I don't want to be put in a position where I'm defending a fucking Nazi, okay? I'm not defending Kanye in any way. But the point being is that like it's a big difference.
I'm not defending Kanye, but I'm just, guys, I'm not really defending him. I just am defending him. But I'm not. But I am. But I'm not.
Can't conflate the two. Like, I have his bars written down actually.
Well, again, specifically, I'm not trying to say they're exactly the same. I'm trying to understand for you personally how far is too far, and what I'm guessing is, again, Kanye saying in light of the anti-Semitic comments that he's made, and as you said, contributing maybe to this greater flow of hate crimes against Jews, laughing that off, saying like, yeah, man, I keep a few Jews on the staff. Yeah, man, I'm crazy and bipolar and anti-Semitic. Ha ha ha. Being like, oh, how could you say I'm anti-Semitic? I just fucked a Jewish bitch. Like, obviously for you, that's not too far. How much further than that could you go to where you're just like, okay, man, he's actually doing too much?
Yeah, if he directly said something anti-Semitic on the record, for sure. Just referencing the drama out.
Well, if he said something.
Outside the art, for me personally, and I want to make this perfectly clear, I don't want to hold anybody else to this standard that you must separate the art from the artist. I don't believe in that at all. I think you should be free to do whatever you want. If you want to boycott the art, sure, do that. I think it's cool. I think it comes from a good place, a moral place. But I just think it's unfair.
Guys, can we fact check this?
It's unfair to like try to force that on other people, and unproductive to force that on other people.
But it's just arguing with other.
It's like, it's so obvious that this is someone who is a complete ideologue but doesn't actually look up anything that they're talking about. Because what the fuck does the sentence? Let's repeat it verbatim.
On other people, and unfair to like try to force that on other people, and unproductive to force that on.
It's unfair and unproductive to force that on other people. I'm sorry. Can somebody correct me? Can somebody correct me? Why is your Christmas tree still up? It's not a Christmas tree, dude. It's a St. Patrick's Day tree. Please don't be so fucking offensive in here. Jesus. Not everything is about American holidays. Do you consider that? What was I talking about? Right, yeah. I'm sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Anthony Fantano, did Mr. Mellon here, did he tell other people not to listen to the album because he's a Nazi? Because Kanye is a Nazi? I'm pretty sure he just said that it was a shit album. Also, someone saying this is dog shit is not forcing you to stop watching it or forcing you to stop listening to it. No one can force you not to listen to his music or to not listen to his music. How's he a Nazi? I was talking about Fantano. You can disagree. Don't call Desi a Nazi. I didn't say that. I said Fantano. No, I said Kanye. I said Kanye. What are you, people? Chatters? Question mark? Denims, are you calling me a Nazi right now? Oh my God. I think it's safe to say that the guy who went on Alex Jones's show raised his hand up and said, me, I'm a Nazi. Me, I am. I love Hitler. I think it's safe to call that guy a Nazi. If I can't call that guy a Nazi, I don't know who the fuck I can call a Nazi. All right. I'm not sure that we can call anyone a Nazi at that point. Just need to make sure we're all on that same page. Who says the words "I love Hitler" aloud on a broadcast? Unless you're quoting someone else. Stop, Emily. And like the best part of that interview, the best part of it, like one day I want to go back and I want to rewatch that interview. The best part of it is like Alex Jones is in the middle of like his Sandy Hook lawsuit, and at one point he says, like a lot of people have been calling you a Nazi. Kanye, I personally don't think you're a Nazi. I think the internet calls everyone a Nazi. And immediately in response to that, Kanye says, no, 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 no. I am. They're right. And fucking Alex Jones just looks at the camera office style like, I tried to save you, man. I can't save you from yourself, though. I can't save you from yourself. It's not. Moving on.
Other people.
But it's just arguing with other people and having opinions on the internet, forcing it on other people. Like nobody outside of like, showing you their opinion on Twitter has any kind of mechanism to control the things that you say or listen to. Like, how is that making you do something that you don't want to do?
What? Sorry, can you repeat the point you just made?
You're saying that people shouldn't be sort of like forcing other people to, not consume Kanye's music or whatever. Because he's saying,
okay. I'm gonna ask you this question. I actually want to know this. I'm coming from a completely good place. Like,
he doesn't even know his own positions. He just knows like the talking points and the words and phrases that he's supposed to say. Like, I just really don't like that the left is constantly trying to force us to do stuff. They're just constantly trying to force us. And Anthony Fantano responds, "Hey, how am I trying to force people to do stuff just by saying my opinion?" Oh, what? I didn't say that. Sir, we have you on record saying that 2 seconds ago.
What do you think your role in this exactly? Like, what are you trying to achieve with your sort of like holding Kanye accountable and going super hard on him and his fans? What exactly are you trying to? Where are you trying to get to with that?
I think I'm just kind of explaining the futility of just making a normal Kanye review around this record. Because I
admire the fact that you called it unreviewable and you like didn't formally review the record. I admire that fact. I think that's great.
What?
I don't have a problem with that. But it's like, besides that, there was a lot of like, I saw you fighting on Twitter with with Kanye fans 24/7. Like, it was incessant. It was to an extreme degree. And I think that was kind of unproductive and kind of ended up to more attention being.
What is this parasocial behavior? Well, I actually don't have any problems with your video. I changed my mind, actually. The real problem I have is that you were arguing with people on Twitter, and it was just not productive, Sweaty. It was just not productive. Okay, like, I just don't understand why you had to be that way. Huh? I just don't think you should be doing that. What in the leftist tone policing is this? What the fuck is this?
Being created around the album, where people who maybe wouldn't have listened to the record were like, "Whoa, what is this drama?
I'm not under any delusion that there's anything that I could do to bring Kanye any more or any less attention."
Okay, so what is you don't have, so with you're just fighting with people out of it's fun for you?
Well, I'm definitely calling it out, and I'm definitely pointing out that the well has been poisoned to the point where doing a normal review of his stuff is pretty much futile. The reason I was fighting with Kanye fans is because a lot of them are kind of reiterating the straw man of my argument, which they think is Kanye bad, can't review Kanye, Kanye bad. When my actual argument is that his actions and his statements and his behavior have either solidified people against him or solidified the cult of fans around him to the point where you can't really have a level-headed discussion around him and his music without being called either biased or just being looked at by people who, you know, rightly see what he's saying and doing as disgusting and thinking,
This guy isn't even fucking paying attention. As soon as Fantano stops speaking, he's gonna be like, what?
like, well, even if it is good to an extent, I don't want to affiliate with it. I mean, you yourself said in your video that, personally, I mean, you know, look, I think you've come across here, even though we disagree, as, you know, like somebody who's at least approachable to an extent. I think it was kind of beneath you in your video for you to kind of like, you know, put that section in where you were like, well, I mean, you know, I'll listen to the album because I'm not Jewish. It's not a big deal to me. I mean, I think that was kind of a super unflattering moment for you. And
yeah, I get what you were trying to say, but I wasn't necessarily talking. I mean, I was talking about myself, but I was talking about like the mentality. The point was like trying to show people the mentality of people who listen to the Kanye record. Like,
well, what I'm saying is, like, you understand yourself that there are people who see his comments and see the content of the record and would rightly be personally disgusted because of their Jewish background or whatever and would want to avoid it. So anybody, you know, like I said in my video, who comes from that background would rightly look at me even saying like, hey, there's some pretty decent stuff about some of the songs on this album, which I've acknowledged on stream and so on and so forth. But rightly, those people would see that commentary and think like, well, ultimately, what does that matter? Because like, obviously his commentary on my heritage and my faith are so disgusting that I wouldn't want to affiliate myself with it anyway. So it's like,
okay, let me just clarify. Are you just talking about yourself here?
Do you kind of understand how, you know, doing a normal review of this record kind of puts me in a position where I'm between two sides of people that don't really want to hear anything?
Guys, this actually perfectly ties into the video we were watching earlier, that there's like no such thing as a centrist. By virtue of Fantano reviewing the album, he is taking a stance. He cannot review the album without taking a stance. Because not taking a side, not addressing the elephant in the room is actually taking someone's side. Wow, who would have thought that the content we watched earlier would all tie into what we were watching now?
Critical about it to begin with?
I like what you did. I'm not against what you did. I'm not like.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just asking you. I'm just asking you if you sort of understand why I would feel that way.
I understand why you feel that way. That's what I started off with. I understand why you feel the way you feel, and I think it's okay for you to feel the way you feel. The question is, how do we combat that? How do we combat this issue and like come to like, I don't know, a productive solution? Like come to a compromise of sorts, and not just
what does this guy think the issue is, and what does this guy think the compromise is?
Continue bashing, shitting on like everybody who said anything positive about the record, and vice versa. Those people who, the Kanye fans, just shitting on you. You're a fucking idiot. You're not a good critic. Like it's both sides of the coin are unproductive. Even though one may be more morally correct than the other, both are unproductive and eventually lead to more polarization. And that's my issue with this.
I think you're just.
This is like the exact type of guy who is against BLM because he's like, it's just really polarizing. Like, yeah, okay. Maybe the cops are killing Black people, but you know, all this like anti-cop hatred is not helping anyone. Oh my God, I'm going to. This is the epitome of privilege, by the way. This is a position you can only have after years and years and years of like a very privileged lifestyle. He's doing the it's bad for the optics shit. Yeah. 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 Like, don't get me wrong. I do think optics are very important. And I think optics, they will be the deciding factor for lots of things. For example, the optics right now in Israel. If Israel was able to behave, let's say, a little bit more and not, bomb every area of Gaza within like a fucking month, chances are there wouldn't be nearly as many protests. So optics do matter, but they are not the end all be all, and they are definitely not something that matters when telling someone, "Hey, I know this guy or this person or this group is being bigoted towards you, but I need you to not be so mean because it's ruining our chances of like maybe having some compromise." It's like, I'm not going to compromise with the fucking people who want other dudes dead for no fucking reason. Huh? Huh?
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Let me finish. The reason why I made the whole video and the approach I take usually with my videos is, even though obviously I have a certain, I'm not a fence-sitting centrist. I have a certain ideology and certain political opinions I hold. I always try.
Not Fantano's face, not the melon. His face did exactly what the rest of us were thinking.
Obviously I have a certain, I'm not a fence-sitting centrist. I have a certain ideology and certain political opinions I hold. I always try meeting people in the middle, right? I want to approach my videos with to a degree where like a Republican could watch it and look at it like, okay, this guy is not just like completely saying fuck you. He's actually made some good points. Maybe I should think about this a little bit, you know? And that's all I'm trying to do with my videos at the end of the day. Now, I can concede to the fact that a lot of my thumbnails and a lot of my titles are like inflammatory, like baity, disgusting to a degree. And yeah,
I had to watch
that's
one of this guy's videos.
Unfortunately, that's the best way to drive people to my content. And I feel like my content being as nuanced and as unbiased and as good faith as it is, I don't have a problem with like baiting people into watching it when that might give them a more neutral perspective on things.
This
Radicals
is crazy,
from both sides.
dude. This is crazy. The self-masturbatory clout brain is crazy. Yeah, okay, my titles and my thumbnails are all very inflammatory and they do exactly what I criticize, which is driving more divisive politics. But my ideas are so good that if people watch them, they would agree with me. That's it. It's like, that's just like, honestly, I could save the world. I could fix global warming single-handedly if we just reached across the aisle. Can we see this guy's channel? This is his video. It's titled "How Online Activists Ruined Art." We're watching this video. I have to see. I can't go any farther into this interview without watching this.
I'm not going to say what race, what people. We know I can't say that.
I feel like they've referenced it a bajillion times. I have to see it.
It was a Jew.
Definitely not an individual that belongs to any sort of marginalized group. I really care about people, actually, and Bernie Sanders should be president.
Oh, every part of this is so good.
What would you do if your favorite artist got exposed as a horrible human?
That was such a terrible joke. That was like really, I mean, like, I am definitely, like, I do not consider myself a comedic master. But that was not good. That was just jarring. I was just confused.
Would you separate them from the art or disown them like a toy you don't want to play with anymore? Kanye's made sure that every single one of us faced this moral dilemma recently. What is loyalty in this situation? Are you harming society by supporting a problematic artist already in the limelight? And most importantly, does it even matter?
Are you seriously playing Kanye right now?
Wow. I'm perplexed. I'm distraught. I'm disappointed. I'm all of the above. This whole Vultures drop and the reception to it really gave me an epiphany. Rooftop Rant 3, let's do it.
This guy is so Slav. The fucking Adidas. Fucking cut.
Oh shit, I almost fell off the roof.
He's
Kanye
so
West
Eastern
is a
European
generational
coded.
artist. And I don't mean just musical artist. I mean artist. Rap, pop, gospel, fashion. These are all real artistic movements he's influenced and contributed to on a major scale. My last year in high school, we had a Ye's Sunday service in the curriculum, like in the student books, along with Mozart and all the other pretentious musicians. But if you were to read these reviews out of context, you would think 6ix9ine made this album. Like the audacity of a jobless Twitter user saying that Kanye's production is completely trash, it just hurts. It's just painful. And while these cute copes are disingenuous and unrealistic, they're symptomatic of a much larger problem. The absolute inability to give shitty people any sort of recognition.
The only parts.
But like, you actually don't have to hand it to Hitler. You don't have to hand it to him, actually. You don't have to do that. You don't. They are not owed anything. Also, sorry, objectively, Kanye's music sucks ass now. Objectively.
Of this album that are kinda sorta tolerable are the ones where Kanye isn't rapping, and also Chris Brown, and also whatever other problematic person is on there.
The great debaters and thinkers, they gave you a voice. Why can't you prosecute the crimes and not the thoughts I employ?
Now, some of you may think these people are virtue signaling nerds, but I understand where they're coming from. Their position is, why would a bigot like Kanye deserve our consideration in the first place when he's so reluctant to give it to others? I'm not gonna separate the art from the artist if the artist is a piece of shit. Maybe if less people supported him after all these controversies, he wouldn't even have a platform to spew his ignorance on right now. So in an effort to be the best person I can be, I'm gonna boycott the art and make sure everyone else does the same.
No one is boycotting Kanye. No one is telling other people to boycott Kanye. I've seen people talking about boycotting a lot of corporations, like Mickey D's or Sturby's. I have not seen a single person be like, guys, we need to boycott Kanye. Guys. I think everyone's just objectively like, dude, what the fuck is going on with that guy? What is going on with that guy? Also, this album is ass. This album is ass. Also, here's the thing, man. I'm sorry, bro. Maybe 2008, you hand me the aux cord. I play some Kanye. 2024, there is no one's car that I am going to play Kanye in. All right? Because I'm like, I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be honest. The only time I play Kanye in the car is when I'm with the homies and I'm like, remember when he used to make good music? Let me throw some of the good shit on. One sec. But we all know. We all are on the same page.
While this mindset sure does sound good in principle, it doesn't really work. At this point, I must bring up a Twitter interaction I had a couple years ago that will give you more context on this matter. So I said, just because someone is a piece of shit.
Damn, he's been saving this for years. He's been fermenting this shit. Let's see what he got.
doesn't mean they can't be funny or talented. And they said, no, that's exactly what it means. If you keep supporting them and calling them talented, it negates all the bad they do. Now, I personally think negates is a huge stretch, okay? Maybe it detracts a little bit. But in any case, like, what is the alternative? What am I?
Guys, when he was not sophomore. When he was a freshman, he had that Twitter interaction, then he became a senior. And no. 4 years ago, he said he graduated 2 years ago. Sophomore. He was a sophomore when he saw that tweet. He graduated and was like, now is the time to show everyone. Now is the time to show everyone my magnum opus. The reason why you don't praise bad people, okay, is because you don't want to spend your time and energy helping a piece of shit make money. If you convince even one person that their music is actually good enough to go buy, hey, guess what? You just financially supported this person. It's the same reason why it's like, yeah, I don't think I could ever catch myself in any way, shape, or form giving money to the Rurouni Kenshin writer. It's like, my money is literally going straight to making the world a worse place. And like, it actually goes back a little bit to one of the videos we watched where it was talking about Jordan Peterson. No. Actually, no. It was the Fantano debate. Jordan Peterson, the reason why it's like, if you want to give him credit, you have to do so very sparingly and with a lot of context. And the reason is, you have to understand that if you make a video humanizing this person and being like, oh, this is so cool, blah, 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 there's a bunch of people that are going to go watch that video and then go watch his content and then be like, well, maybe this guy's onto something. You're legitimizing him as an actual person worth listening to. But I really don't think that we should be legitimizing someone like Kanye.
Am I supposed to lie to myself and everybody else? Is that what you want? You think everybody being disingenuous is gonna solve this problem? I hate how reductive and childish this whole worldview is. You know, that bad people aren't capable of doing good and vice versa. Someone who has a negative effect in one respect can also have a positive effect in another.
Do you think
so here's the thing, right? What he's talking about is actually something that I'm a firm believer in, which is why I'm a leftist and I believe in rehabilitation. Fully, entirely. He uses the same talking points for literally everything he believes. Oh God, it's so sad. Yeah, I mean, I famously will say on stream, you know, you're not the worst thing that you've done. Like, everybody's made mistakes in life. If you haven't, you know what? Fuck you. Okay, we can't all be perfect like you piece of shit. All right, enough with the moral grandstanding. Okay, not all of us had parents that loved us. Okay. I'm just kidding. I was the favorite child. I had perfect grades and didn't do drugs. And sat on my computer all day. So, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I was agreeing. Anyways, a lot of us were bullied. Okay, yeah. Being born was the first mistake I made. I did everything right and they indicted me. What was I saying? What was I? Okay, also though, my living circumstances were easy just on one front only, which is my mom had twins before me. So like, I feel like the bar was set really low. Like I just had to not be a total monster. And I would be the favorite child because, like, I cannot imagine having, and the shit that my siblings would get into. Oh my God. God bless my parents. God bless them. So I just needed to behave a little and I was treated okay. Moving on though. What was I fucking talking about? No, I had a point with this. Fuckers. No, you guys made me forget. Oh, not being perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Starman. Yeah, I mean, like, I think everybody's made some mistakes in life. Everyone's done something that's hurt someone else's feelings. Everyone has done something maliciously, I think, that has hurt someone's feelings. Um, or not maliciously. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, right? It is what it is. The only thing that matters is, hey, are you constantly trying to be a better person? Like, genuinely constantly trying to be a better person. And I think as long as you genuinely are trying to be the best version of yourself, that's all that matters. Like, you are more than just that person. Just because maybe you were a bully, as an example, it doesn't mean that you are always going to be a bully and are always going to be someone who picks on other people. You can change, grow, learn as a person. Because there was one really amazing thing that was in, I mean, all of it was really good, but there was one really amazing thing that was in iDubbbz's video that he made most recently. It was after Creator Clash, where he talked about how he thought he was an empathetic person. Because it's like, oh, well, I have empathy. I care about like my dogs and stuff, and I care about this. And then he realized no, empathy is like learned. Like actual real empathy is learned. And it is a skill that you constantly hone. So like, I subscribe to that idea. I really do. I feel like middle schoolers have no empathy. I feel like middle schoolers have not quite yet developed empathy brain. And then I feel like as you get older, you either choose to double down on that, or you realize you want to work on it and become someone that is more emotionally intelligent and more capable. I'm a substitute teacher who works in middle school, can confirm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Fucking I do not envy people who teach middle schoolers. I would teach elementary students. I would teach high schoolers. I would not ever in my life teach middle schoolers. I would rather work a million other jobs than have to do that. God. Because generally I haven't had enough life experiences to have personal life experience to develop genuine empathy. Yeah. And also, I think you don't see the harm that is caused until it's direct and it's directly related to you in some way. So maybe you can like bully a bunch of fucking nerds, give them a bunch of swirlies, and until you see your friend or sibling or yourself go through that, you don't understand it. You don't understand why, like what you're doing to another person. All of this was to say, I already subscribe to this idea. You're not the worst thing that you've done. However, with one large caveat, once you pass the point of reasonable poor behavior, reasonable human error, I do not think we need to give you leeway anymore. Milestone, thank you for the prime. Thank you. Like, breaking other people's stuff, as an example. Very shitty thing to do. And it's a very like huge violation of your person and your personhood and your things. And as someone who's had other people destroy my shit, I learned from that, and I was like, no, never ever will I ever destroy anyone else's stuff, because it's just too fucked up of a thing to do. But I would not say that it is outside of like human normal bad behavior. I think it is within normal human behavior, if there's a scale from bad to good, a reasonable person could get so mad that they destroy your stuff. How they react at that point is up to them, and whether they choose to grow and be a better person from there is a different thing. But that is like, I could forgive someone who broke my stuff. I could forgive them. I could be like, okay, I don't know what's gotten into your brain. I don't know what made you so mad. Don't let it happen again. Please compensate me for what you just destroyed, and we're good. As long as it's something that I can still replace, we're good. Once you're at the point of like saying that you love Hitler and you are a Nazi, I think you've passed the realm of normal, reasonable, human bad behavior. Because I'm going to be honest, I haven't done that. No one I know has ever done that. And I've known some shitty people. Once you pass that realm of like reasonable, I don't think we have to, think about like sometimes you do bad things, but sometimes you do good things. This was a very big issue with, do you guys remember Beau the Fifth Column? There was like this drama, I guess. I don't know if you could call it that. With this YouTuber. He went by Beau of the Fifth Column. He was this very like Southern guy who appealed to, obviously, as you would imagine, Southern people, but he was like a huge leftist. And I guess like he had gotten arrested for, I think the official charge was human trafficking. TLDR, he was helping migrants cross the border and then hiring them for work for basically nothing, for pennies. And then he got sued. He had to pay out a fuck ton of money. It was labor trafficking. And I have to say, pretty bad. Abusing people's labor like that, pretty not good. Pretty bad. However, he went to prison. He did his time. He paid out his fines. And now he spends his time making videos trying to do as much good as he can, pushing people to the left. Now, I'm not going to ask every single person to forgive this person. That's stupid. Obviously not. That's ridiculous. But that is an example of someone who did bad, but also is capable of doing good. Are you saying he did this all in the past? This was before he even started making videos. This was all way before he started making videos. I'll open the 1 second. You guys can see what his channel is like.
That's the best way to drive people to my content. And
stop it. Only speak when spoken to, man. This guy. And he's got like, again, he's got a lot of really good videos, genuinely very good videos. And he has like he's an op in the sense that when you first start watching or listening to him, you think that he's going to be a conservative. And then when he starts speaking, you realize that he's not a conservative. And he's got a lot of good episodes. He's got a lot of good videos on like BLM. He was making a lot of good videos on BLM. About how, and like explaining to conservatives why saying Black Lives Matter does not say white lives don't matter. It doesn't say white lives don't matter. And it really like breaking down these concepts that most conservative people that are very, very, very conservative will never listen to. But because it's in this presentation from a guy like this, here, let's go to his most popular videos so that you guys can get an idea. This one's called, let's talk about what it's like to be a black person in the U.S.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Beau again. So that Nike video, that went a little bit wider than I expected. A lot of people saw it that I didn't count on. That was supposed to be a joke for you guys that normally watch this. I didn't count on the extra couple 100,000 people seeing it, but I'm glad they did. Because, you know, they don't know the way I talk. They don't know that I tend to switch what I'm talking about in the middle of a video. So a lot of them saw the first few seconds, took off to the comment section, and started insulting me. And it's all okay. It was all worth it. Because one guy in his insults got me thinking. And I had time to think about it because I was coming back from town. That's like 40-minute drive. The insult was that my IQ was 2 points higher than a plant, and that I needed to, or asked if I could open my hick mind and understand what it was like to be a black person in the United States. No, I can't. Neither can you. Neither can you. I know right now there's some white ally out there learning the terminology that say, no, I understand. No, you don't. You may get the statistics. You may understand the numbers. You may get that, there's a huge disparity in the criminal justice system. And because of that, it translates into more unjust violence being visited upon them. You may get that. You may understand that there's a huge income equality gap. You may get that translates into a lower standard of living, lower health care. You may understand all of that. Doesn't mean you understand what it's like to be black in the U.S. It means you get the numbers. Maybe you understand a little bit of the history.
No.
See, it's way deeper than that because, when we think about slavery, we think about the physical costs of slavery. And they're horrible, no doubt. But I think today, what's more relevant is something else. Where are you from? Not in the U.S. Where are you people from? Odds are, if you're white, Ireland, Scotland, England, Germany, Italy, Greece, France. Where are you from? And based on your answer, I can tell you all kind of things about you. I can tell you whether your gravy is red, brown, or white. I can tell you what kind of booze you probably drink. Tell you what kind of food you eat. Tell you what cuss words you use. Translates into a lot of things. The values you instill in your kids. The jokes you tell. The biases you have. My kid's 4 years old. One of them.
Thank you for the gifts up.
He's 4 years old. If I look at him and I say, ooh, ah, he's going to go up the raw. Now, if you're Irish, you just laugh.
To speed this up a little bit, just so for anyone who has never seen his content, he's basically, from my understanding, I think he's saying or leading up to the point of, you have to recognize that you take all of these things for privilege or for granted, knowing where your ancestors are from or your family's from, having a culture, having food that belongs to your ethnic origins, having language, having all of these things, etc., etc. Those are things that you are afforded, but you have to recognize we stripped that away from most Black Americans. We stole them from their cultures and we stripped them from it. And we went even a step further and attempted to make as many of them Christian as possible. And anyone here who's been to Africa or been to any place in Africa or has friends that live in any place in Africa, you will know Africa is not just one big country where Black people live. That's not how that works. Every country has different ethnic traditions, has different food, has different cultures, has different values. Maybe there's overlap, of course, in the same way that there will always be overlap for any countries that are nearby, in the same way that a lot of similar value systems exist in the Asian continent, like Korean culture and Chinese culture and Japanese culture are all going to be a little bit similar because they borrowed from each other just after, centuries of existing around each other. Yeah, but you're never going to tell, a Korean person, unless you're racist, you're just Chinese. In the same way that if you told a German person, there's no difference between you and some French guy, they would kill you. And they would be right to kill you. Honestly. M. Duchamp, thank you for the tier 1. Thank you. So it's the same kind of concept. Yeah, a lot of these countries in South Africa might be similar. They might have some similar values, but they're all different countries. And those different things matter to take that away from a group of people, to quite literally strip everything from them, to give them a new identity, to better control them. What do you think that that does to the psyche of all future generations? Liam, thank you for the gift sub. Thank you. But I think this is one of many of his videos explaining a concept that I think for a lot of American conservatives is very difficult, especially very like hillbilly type. Hank asking Chinese or Japanese. Can I watch that? Can someone please link it? I'm Laotian. So what is that? Chinese? Large soul, thank you for the time. What ocean? The ocean? You from the ocean? I have to watch it again.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
I live in California last 20 years, but first come from Laos.
Huh?
Laos. We Laotian.
The ocean? What ocean?
We are Laotian. From Laos, stupid. It's a landlocked country in Southeast Asia. It's between Vietnam and Thailand, okay? Population 4.7 million.
So are you Chinese or Japanese?
So are you Chinese? This part gets me every time. The ocean.
Huh?
Laos. We Laotian.
The ocean? What ocean?
We are...
I'm done. Gosh, sorry. Let's get back to the video. Yeah, both the fifth column, I think he does a very good job appealing to those people. Appealing to Southern conservatives who have just never had someone else just be in their corner and talk to them like their people and explain a lot of liberal values that are really, or even leftist values that are really valid. All of this, let's go back. Let's just run it back. All of this to say that I think he's effective in his methods, and he's effective at disarming people who otherwise would never listen to leftists, ever. And he does a good job performing leftism in terms of the videos that he makes, and what he preaches are all like great and stuff. Talk to people where they're at. Yeah. Liam, thank you for the gift sub, by the way. However, you know, it doesn't change his past, and I don't expect anyone to forgive his past. You know, you did just like abuse and exploit migrant labor. But you went to federal prison. You served your time. You paid your fees. And you are more than the worst thing that you've done. Now, I don't follow up with this guy. I don't know what he does in his personal life. I hope he does good stuff in his personal life. I don't know. But what I will say is I enjoy the version of him that exists now that helps de-radicalize people and push people away from brain-rotting Southern conservatism. Genuinely. And so I don't expect other people to forgive him. I don't expect other people to be like, oh, well, I guess I have to watch him now. No, I mean, you watch what you want to watch. And if this is someone who's irredeemable to you, that's fine. In the same way that I think that I would never tell a rape victim to forgive their rapist. Even if their rapist, like, has dedicated themselves for the past decade to helping victims of domestic abuse, to donating as much of their own money, to making sure that they do the most that they can do to amend and right their wrongs. I would still never ask that person, hey, you should forgive this person. They've grown. No, that's your personal decision to make. But I do think that person should be allowed to be given that space to grow, to make themselves a better person. Like the guy who was on the deepfake porn site or whatever. Yeah, that's a great example. So basically all of that to say, within reason, rehabilitating yourself, making yourself a better person, trying to amend and right your wrongs within reason. I think once you are and I think we should give people credit when they are within reason. Atrioc is a great example where I defend Atrioc and I say like, yeah, he fucked up. And yeah, I don't expect any of the people who felt like they were used or they felt like they were objectified to forgive him. I don't expect any of those people to forgive him, and I don't think that they have an obligation to forgive him. I think that that is cruel and unusual to ask of those people. But I do genuinely respect how hard he has tried to amend his mistakes. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, quick summary. There's a streamer, Atrioc. He was alt-tabbing on stream, and it showed a tab of his that had a window that had deepfake porn on it, that had deepfake porn of streamers on it, specifically female streamers on it. And he, as you would imagine, got ripped apart by the internet. Yeah. And then he took a like 3-month and he released everything publicly. He said like literally I did it once. Here is all of my like financial stuff. I don't know why I thought this was okay, blah blah blah. And do you want to know what this guy did? He quit streaming for like months. How do you know his actions are genuine and not to save his career? How about you fucking listen for once before typing something dumb in my chat? Let this be a lesson to all of you. Stop it. He took a 3-month hiatus, if not longer. He dedicated like most of his savings. I think he dedicated like $100,000 of his own money while quitting content, so bringing in zero revenue, to helping victims. He partnered with people who help others get like deepfake porn off and like revenge porn off the internet. And he spent months and months talking to these people, trying to figure out the best way to reach these people, figuring out how to help the most people that they could with the budget that they could. And of course, he apologized to all the people around himself. And he said, like, I want to do whatever I can do. I feel so bad, genuinely. And so, yeah, like that is someone who, in my opinion, I think, you know, actions speak louder than words. You took all this time off. You're generating $0 in revenue. You're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars of your own money to help random people get shit off the internet. And you're not just donating and being like, okay, you guys do the rest yourself. He got like personally involved in this organization, among other organizations, to understand all of the information and all the details of how these websites work and how to best fix this problem and how to help the most people possible. What was I saying? Yes, I remember. That's someone who, in my opinion, like that is someone that is better than the worst thing that he's fucking done. He has done, in my opinion, more than enough to try and fix the wrongs. And he specifically said, very genuinely, you know, I don't expect anyone to forgive me, but I want to do this to do this. And if you don't forgive me, I understand, and that's cool, and that's fine. But after knowing that I was the reason why some of these sites started getting more traction, I can't just like live with this guilt. I just can't. I feel like someone who didn't feel genuine guilt and empathy would just try and bury the story ASAP. I mean, dude, fucking Predmeister hopping into women's bedrooms, left for a couple months, and then made a video where he's like, guys, I went on vacation for a couple months to find myself. And then I started working out. And I got a dog. So you guys are gonna forget all that me hopping into women's beds while they're sleeping, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. So I just think that we as leftists should be more understanding. And I'm not saying that the actual victims need to forgive these people, but I'm saying the rest of us, if someone is saying they want to be a better person and they are showing with their actions they want to be a better person and they aren't hiding from anything, they're not dodging responsibility from anything, I think it is on us as leftists to give them a space to grow. And if we have any reason to kick them out of the space, we should then do that. If we're like, actually, this guy seems like he's just doing this all for clout or whatever. Okay, cool. Great. Kick them the fuck out. But I think there's a lot of leftists that say that they're pro-rehabilitative justice and they don't act like it. Yeah. Yeah. Now, again, I'm not saying the Nazi, the guy with the fucking swastika tattoo said, no, I'm a leftist now. Come on, guys. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if we feel like, if it genuinely feels like someone is saying that they made a mistake and they regret their decisions and they are putting in as much of their own time and money and effort. Like, I think at one point, Atrioc even said, like, I don't care how big you are. I don't care if you were someone that was personally affected by my actions. If you are someone who has images of you online, regardless of your gender, regardless of your clout, regardless of whoever you are, message me and I will try and help you. And he actually did help people. He helped like a lot of smaller creators wipe shit off the internet. So like, there's of course always going to be a limit to how much people can change depending on how heinous the original action was. But I think we should give people that space. Any instances where I feel like there is someone that is genuinely trying, at least we should give them the opportunity. Just the opportunity. And if they give us a reason to stop believing them, then we should stop believing them. The fucking Nazis will take in anyone. I think we should also be willing to take in people who want to grow and change. Genuinely, people want to grow and change. What makes you irredeemable? A couple things. I don't know, like physically harming other people, like rape. I feel like that's one of those things that you should probably know is bad. And if that person wants to grow on their own, cool, great, that's nice. I don't know, man. I feel like there are some things that just go a little too far for me, personally. To an extent, yeah. Like pedophilia, yeah. Like, I don't know, man. I even think that, like, people who I think there's a lot of people who maybe don't know enough about enthusiastic consent. And I think even those people can still, like, even those people who've done wrong things, we can still make room for those people. I'm talking about people who they know what they're doing is wrong. They're being told to stop. You can very clearly see that someone else is in distress and you are still acting on your own selfish desire. I don't know. That seems bad, man. Name and shame, Denims. I mean, I think everyone in here probably knows, well, maybe not everyone, but I think everyone in here maybe knows someone who who gets a little too drunk and then gets a little too touchy-feely. I even think that there's room to rehabilitate those people who need to recognize, no, I don't get to just hide behind my drunkenness. No, I don't get to just touch other people. No, I don't get to just randomly decide I want to make out with someone else who I don't even know, who is not interested. No. I think that we can make some of those people. I think that behavior can be changed. But like in the instance of rape, where it's like someone literally is telling you, like, no, get the fuck off me. I'm serious. And you don't give a fuck and you're sober. I don't know. I think at that point you are lacking something in you that you need to have in you. That's like, huh? What? Moving on. Basically, all of this was to say, rehabilitation is good. You are better than the worst thing you've done. However, in the instance of people like Kanye, he has gone so fucking insane publicly, and he has gone full-blown anti-Semitism that actually he is past the threshold of needing to hand it to him.
This woman is a woman. No.
For example, recently my cousin gifted me a Jordan Peterson book for my birthday. And in my head, I was thinking, oh, brother, the traditionalist transphobe made a book. And I have to read it now because a family member gave it to me. But now having read it, I can say confidently, with my chest out, it's a good-ass book.
It's not a good book. If you think it's a good book, I'm convinced you've just never read a book before. This is like, it's the equivalent for anyone who just never read 12 Rules of Life. It's the equivalent of watching the only anime you've ever watched being Sword Art Online and then saying, Sword Art Online is a pretty good anime. It's like, no, it's not. No, that's the one anime we all agree on is not good. It's trash. The only reason you thought it's good is it has to be because it's the only anime you've ever seen. People who haven't spent legitimate time working with a psychologist think it's a great book. They have no experience with basic foundational psychological lessons and practices to make oneself better. Yeah. And like, I think that that's a big part of it, where the people who do think it's a good book have just never thought about bettering themselves. And that was the first instance of like a man in their life telling them to better themselves. And that's why they think it's such a good book. But it's not a good book. It's literally a self-help book. If you go to a fucking Barnes & Noble and go to the self-help section and pick out any book, it's probably a better book than 12 Rules of Life.
Help me become a better person. Genuinely. I should be able to say that without getting a flurry of eye rolls and unnecessarily loud sighs in response. Jordan Peterson sucks as a political commentator, but he's an amazing psychologist. Kanye West is a crazy person,
not,
but also
he's not an amazing psychologist.
Generational artist. That should not be hard for you to say. Thanks,
So
by the way.
this is the problem, by the way, with, in my opinion, this video. Why? Does he answer the question of why he feels the need to say these things? Why is it that we need to give these people credit? Is this slime or cheese? Neither.
It's a great gift, okay? I like it a lot. Hey, did you know that MLK allegedly watched and laughed while his friend committed rape in front of him? He cheated on his wife 40 times. 40, bro! That's a lot. LeBron can't even give you that anymore. But does that take away from the strides he made for humanity as an activist? You tell me. What's next? MLK wasn't that good of a speaker.
But these are not analogous, huh? First off, yeah, I don't trust anything that the FBI puts out, not gonna lie. Second, What does this have to do? Is this, you're talking about someone doing shit in their personal life versus people doing shitty things in their personal life but publicly doing good versus dudes who wrote a book but are terrible people.
After all, the microphone was too close to his face. Like, come on, let's be honest about these things. I don't have to like the messenger to like the message. Why do we even have to conflate the two? Think about that. A Nazi and his gaggle of women beaters assemble for a shallow misogynistic pastiche. Bro, pastiche? I haven't heard that word since middle school. That's kind of impressive, actually. Good writing. That's some pitchfork writing if I've ever seen it.
Why can't you gladly appreciate
what was he reading?
Stop staring at me disgusted. My substance made sure you live.
The other part of this combo is whether we as fans are responsible for the damage these artists are doing. Anything
Did he misspell messenger? Oh God. Someone save me. Someone. Oh no. Oh no, this is my video essays, guys. I'm gonna drop out of school.
It's out there that you consume, you're supporting him and everything he does. Quote. The idea here being that if you stream Kanye's music, you're indirectly contributing to his anti-Semitism by keeping him famous and making him 0.00004 cents richer.
But hey, those numbers add up, you know?
And I get it. I guess if you and me and everyone else stopped tuning in, the bad guys would have no more fame or money, and in your mind, they would somehow end up on the street homeless, atoning for all their sins. And then justice would be served. I think what you're expecting—
The straw mans are crazy in this video, by the way. I just don't want shitty people to have a platform, huh? I don't think they need to go die. I don't think that they need to become homeless. I just don't think that they should have a platform. That's all. I don't like the idea of like Chris Brown existing as a celebrity.
My brother in Christ, you got your head so far up your own ass you can see the bile building up in your large intestine DNM balls DNM slough. Give Mayor a killdozer.
Like, yeah, I don't give a fuck if any of these people... Like I don't give a fuck if Louis C.K. becomes homeless and begs for forgiveness. That's not what I care about. I care about having him ousted as a sexual predator and the tools that were at his disposal that allowed him to sexually assault tens of women, for him to lose those powers so that he can stop harming people. That's it. That's all I want. I just want the harm to stop. I don't give a fuck if I want him... I don't give a fuck if he's homeless. I'd much rather him just die in obscurity in his fucking whatever $1 million house that he probably bought off of all the shows that he's done.
A lot of people is definitely morally right, but is it realistic or productive in any way? Absolutely not.
But
like,
is
how far
this?
do we go with this? Am I supporting transphobia by eating a Chick-fil-A sandwich? Am I encouraging child labor because I like wearing Air Forces? Jokey joke, by the way. You'll never catch me wearing them. But seriously, what is the plan here? You're gonna erase all the evil from this world?
Bro, you're literally Slav coded. Of course you're not gonna wear Nikes. You're literally repping the Adidas.
By what? Stopping every person from consuming products that aren't made by a moral entity? It's not gonna work. Not even joking.
Me when I ignore the McDonald's boycotts actually cutting into their profits. Clueless. 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 I'm so clueless.
That's like trying to eradicate crime by deploying more police officers in every neighborhood.
Now the bad guys are gonna be scared to do bad things.
Bro, this let's break some heads, take some corners ass mentality. The only thing these whack-a-mole tactics end up doing is adding more fire to the flame. You know, striking up more conversation around the album than there would have been otherwise. Turning Kanye into a martyr of some sort.
My
you know,
God.
kind of platform.
The moral tone policing is crazy. You guys need to stop because you're actually helping it.
In some twisted way. The most responsible and effective thing you can do in this situation
Did he
is
say
just
more fire to the flame? Clueless.
ignore the man completely without expecting that anyone else is going to do the same. Oh no, it's already sunset. The sun is going down. And Kanye absolutely went
Why
too
did
far.
he
Let me
keep
make
that
that
in? He thought he cooked. Brother, if you were streaming that, I would let it slide, okay? But that was a video. Cut that shit. It wasn't funny.
perfectly.
Didn't laugh.
Him being someone who's faced discrimination in the past, I don't understand how he can't recognize the fact that he's perpetuating that same treatment towards others. You know, it's disgusting, and regardless of his intentions, probably has contributed to the historically high number of hate crimes on Jewish people. Links in the description, by the way, if you want to do some research. Look at me.
Okay, I think we're good. He doesn't explain why we need to stop being divisive, by the way. He doesn't explain why his method is better than our method or what it achieves. I don't think that he's going to be quite honest, considering the context or content of the rest of the video. The mental gymnastics on this are crazy. And this, I feel like, comes from a position of just like moral superiority that hopefully he'll like grow out of. Because I remember being this type of person a little bit when I first entered college. I remember a little bit like, maybe we should be more understanding. Maybe we should hear them out. And then I got older. And then I tried it once and I was like, oh, no, you're not going to convince these people. Actually, no, that's what they want you to do. Actually, the Nazi wants you to talk to him. And he wants to win you over with his charm. But the second you do, you've kind of already lost. And also, we've already done this song and dance via 2016 anti-SJW nonsense. Back when they all were like, no, marketplace of ideas. If we just leave like all the dumb people in line and the smart people, is eventually people will like listen and stuff. And yeah. And then it didn't work. And then you want to know what actually worked? Fucking deplatforming those people. You know his name I haven't heard in ages? Fucking, oh man, who? Milo Yiannopoulos, there we go. Best example. That guy faded into fucking obscurity. Holy. After he got banned, he just nothing. Lauren Southern is another good example where like she kind of made a little bit of like a splash like last year, the year before that or something, and then she's mostly again died on the internet. I forgot he existed. Yep. Tommy Lauren as well. A lot of these people completely gained any relevance that they used to have just because they went so extremist. Stephanie Molyneux, oh my God. Yeah. He was Milo Yiannopoulos experienced so much obscurity. He turned straight. Yep. Yep. Boo Boo Bennett. Mm-hmm. Bill O'Reilly. Mm-hmm. Also, if Ye didn't pick up Nick Fuentes, he was on his way out. It seemed, yeah. Tucker Carlson, even just Tucker Carlson is so much less relevant now that he's not on Fox. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that's my point, right? Like, actually, no. Not giving them credit for anything, not talking to these people, not giving them the opportunity to convince anyone with rhetoric is good because they're pieces of shit and they want the world to be a worse place for everyone or for most people. I just feel like there's a level, and it's kind of one of those things you know when you see it, when someone is unsalvageable. So, okay. This is such a moral grandstanding video from like a centrist. This guy would have killed it though on 2016 YouTube. All right, let's finish this debate, I guess.
So that's how I live with myself at the end of the day.
Okay, I mean, I'm sorry to pop your bubble here a little bit, but I mean, I'm sorry, but you personally are not unbiased in any sense, and you're not presenting an unbiased perspective in, from what I can see, any of your
Okay,
content.
I take that back. I concede
That's
that.
not the case.
I understand that.
What you even
Let me-
expressed just now is a bias of sorts, because the thing is, you know,
I take that back. I'm not unbiased. I'm not unbiased.
Okay.
Sorry I said that.
But let me finish my point. I let you finish yours.
Okay.
Even embracing centrism for centrism's sake is a bias of sorts. You know, just because you're landing in the middle of 2 points doesn't mean you're unbiased or that it's effectively the best option in that scenario.
Yep.
I mean, when you're between the polar opposite positions of we should, you know, have segregation and we should allow everybody and anybody to sort of live freely in modern society, we don't try to land somewhere in the middle of those 2 points because it makes us feel good and fuzzy inside, because we're like, well, I'm reasonable and I see the points of both sides. No, the correct position is we allow people to be free. Like, that's the correct position. Like, there are points where centrism doesn't make sense. I understand.
I'm not saying I'm a centrist. The way I'm approaching it is from a place of understanding and trying to reach every side of the spectrum. And I think that's a lot more productive than just sticking to your side and condemning everybody who's like a little bit more close.
What I'm saying is, like, on a case by case basis. Okay, on a case by case basis, there are some positions and points of view that point blank period are condemnable, and you don't need to sort of like see their point, you know. And again, I'm not saying that's always the case for everything all the time. I'm just saying,
because it's like it's just like, it should be obvious. It's intuitive. The things that you don't need someone to talk to you to know that you're right. Like, I'm sorry, I don't need to talk to a pedophile. I don't need to hear them out. I think, actually, that's enough for me. I don't care whatever argument you think you have for this. This is just bad. This is just bad. Same thing with like a Nazi. It's like, I don't need to hear your dumb idea. I'm sorry, what's your goal? Your end goal is to, what's that? Be a bigoted piece of shit that vouches for or pushes for segregation or genocide. I don't care what your reasons are. Those means are so bad, there's no argument that you can use that will convince me otherwise. So I don't think I need to listen to you. I've heard enough. Of course, outside of those instances, yeah, always be willing to listen to different takes. Always be willing to be, 1% willing to change your mind. But then there's stuff that we just know. We just fucking know.
Especially in this case, especially in this specific case, where we are talking about stuff that is in reference to and has parallels to Nazism, okay? It's worth taking a staunch position and being like, you know what? This is like bad.
This is okay. I did that. I also did that in the video, but the point I'm trying to make is we both think it's bad. Okay, so we're on the same side.
Okay, it's bad. It's bad, but the fact it's bad.
How do we combat that? How do we combat that in the most effective way possible, in the most pragmatic way possible, in a way where people can actually like fucking come to an agreement on things, that where the sides don't just get more polarized and a kick gets created and a Donald Trump gets elected president. You know, I want to meet people.
But here's the thing:
understand them, and then like also, hey, Kanye. I mean, Kanye is also a fucking Nazi. What I say in the video, like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but also Kanye is a piece of shit Nazi. Here's links. He's affected directly hate crimes on Jewish people. So I feel like I'm being really responsible in that way, where I'm not just like completely throwing away the other side, but reeling them in and then educating them on these things. Okay, I feel like that's a lot more effective and responsible than what a lot of other people do. And that's it.
I mean, I agree that you are kind of giving some of the people watching that video context, but simultaneously you sort of take almost like a nihilistic or, you know, careless kind of perspective on, well, there's no point in quote unquote doing anything about it because it's not like your 12 or 15 or whatever amount of streams that you might give to a Kanye record. It's not like that means anything. And ultimately, if you're not a perfect person, then, you know, as Jordan Peterson says, you shouldn't be trying to put forward effort to fix the world anyway, because you can't fix or, you know, sort of like, you know, improve your own shit.
Well, okay. What I was trying to say with that is people who endorse polarization and kind of like encourage it and and reinforce it, I think have a lot of things they should fix. That's honestly how I feel. Okay, you should.
Sorry, but it's so funny to me that this guy's idol does exactly what he's talking about, the whole polarization thing. And he's clueless. Totally clueless.
Should always be looking for a compromise. You should always be looking to come from a place of understanding. I'm going to use this as a reference point. So the way you responded to my video was like, you can't think, which I think it was really unnecessary, which obviously you have strong opinions on this and you can articulate them very well. But like, what's the point in like saying I can't think? How should I feel about that? Like if someone was less mature, which is fucking 97% of the internet, in my shoes, they would have been like, fuck Fantano. I'm going to go bump that new Kanye. Fuck that dude, you know? So I don't see what you're exactly trying to achieve by like insulting people. Like, well, what is it that you're doing exactly? I don't understand how you can say I'm not doing anything. What are you doing exactly?
And
like,
so this brings us to the meat of the issue, right? Why are you shaming the guy who's against Nazis instead of the Nazis? You go on and on and on about all this like polarization and like, you guys are being so polarizing. Stop being so polarizing. Why not go make a video where you talk to the fucking Nazis and tell them, guys, you guys are being polarizing?
Like put steps forward towards a better day.
Okay. I mean, this is sort of like a much wider debate than what we're actually having here. But it's my position at the end of the day when I see, and this goes for me and other people who sort of comment on politics regularly on the internet. You know, and this also sort of applies to people who are right-wing.
Also, he's presupposing that like polarization is inherently a bad thing, but actually I think it's a good thing. On the fronts of Nazism, among a couple other things, I think it's good to have like some type of polarization, that there is a clear-cut good and there is a clear-cut bad. There are a lot of things that I think have a lot of leeway because maybe they don't have like, they're victimless crimes, or it's like sort of part of human nature, or there are instances where it's okay, or there's instances where it's not okay. Like stealing, right? You steal from some fucking old lady who can't pay her rent, you're a piece of shit. You steal some water bottles from fucking Walmart, you're totally fine. That's just base. That's honestly fine. That's base to me. Bro, I could watch someone stuff their entire jacket with stuff. I ain't see none. What? Ma'am, did you see a shoplifter on here? I'm sorry. What is a shoplifter? I don't know what that word means. I see you fucking steal from some random ass old lady who looks like she ain't got enough money. I'm beating the shit out of you. Not actually. I'm going to record you and then give the footage to the lady and tell her to sue you. Because I can't fight because I'm a gamer. But that's close enough. I'm just gonna, if I tried to fight, I would just lose every fight. I'm sorry. I don't, okay. What's a shop, honestly? But there are things that I think, you know, we have, even things like, for example, murder. there are instances where protecting your own life or someone else's life comes at the cost of another person's life because that person's attacking you or whatever. There are instances of self-defense. There's instances of like insanity. There's a lot of different instances, right? That are not so clear cut and dry, that actions can be morally bad and still be frustrating. Like whatever. Or best example, oh my God, the people, and by people I mean Candace Owens, who took a look at the George Floyd case and were like, did you know he was actually arrested for a violent crime? Did you know that? Did you know that? I don't care because I believe on principle the state and the cops who enforce state rules don't have the authority to execute you on sight. What happened to a fair trial? What happened to a fair, fast, speedy trial? What happened to that? I don't care what you've done. You should be given the same rights, the same constitutional rights that everyone else is given. I think that that's only fair. Petty crimes justify extrajudicial executions on the street. Exactly. And I think that's what he's failing to see. He's failing to see that there are the things that we can compromise on and we can have conversations about. And there are the things that there is no point in talking about. And the second you start talking about them, you've already lost. Kanye is one of those things.
As well, because there's no shortage of right-wing commentators who, you know, sort of spend their days on the internet roasting anybody who could be understood as left-wing. Is that not also inoculating those people to their positions and making it difficult for anybody to see their side of the aisle? See, here's the thing at the end of the day, for me personally, I don't go into these conversations or go into these commentaries, whatever you want to call them, roasts, which, you know, that very much was in the case of saying when you make a think piece, but you can't think. I don't go into any of that thinking you're going to read that and be like, oh, maybe I'm the one who's wrong. You know, no, I didn't think you were going to see that and have that reaction. And that's ultimately not my goal either. My interest mostly, and especially in light of the Kanye video, is not that Kanye fans see what I'm saying and they're converted. It's that you guys completely freak out as a result of my very level-headed and sort of like, you know, basic principled position on this. And you basically throw a multi-day temper tantrum. And yeah, you could say, oh, Anthony was fighting with these people on Twitter. Yeah, if you look at the replies, there's literally Nazis in there and people ask me if I'm Jewish. Like, to the silent majority of normal people who observe that, they're like, whoa. And I've gotten tons of comments about this. These people are fucking freaks.
So
I don't want to have anything to do with that. So just like Kanye, you guys are further inoculating normal people to entering into the fan base because you're dogpiling on me over rightly calling out the fact that there's weird anti-Semitic stuff on the record and that things have become so poisoned well-wise that you can't really have a normal discourse around the album. I'm not really trying to convince you or convince Kanye fans to believe me. I'm showcasing to other people who aren't already in the cult how freakish all of this is, and they're objectively seeing the reality of that as a result of the reaction.
And it brings me so much satisfaction to disagree with people on Twitter, and then when I check their profiles, it's just like the biggest Nazi you've ever seen. Just like the biggest one. Or you scroll through like their images and like their replies and they're like, actually, she's a 1,000-year-old dragon. It's like, oh, whew. All right, the people who are against me are fucking morons. Great. We're good. We're good. Guys, get a load of these guys. Get a load of these guys over here, man.
What I did.
Sorry, she was communicating with me.
So what what I take away from what you just said is, so you look at the extremists, like the worst people, like the scum of the earth, and you kind of take that minority and kind of apply that energy to Kanye's entire fan base.
When did he do that?
Those tweets are public. Those tweets are for everybody to see. You're kind of grouping all these people together. And I don't know. It's just, I don't think it's productive in any sense. Again, I understand what you're doing. And I think for you, that's great. And your intentions probably are in the best place. But I mean, I don't know what your intention was when you wrote that. Like, to me.
Listen, keep in mind.
Wait, let me finish. Let me finish. I don't know what your intentions were when you wrote that to me, but what ended up happening.
I just told you the intentions, but okay.
You didn't have any intentions, but that's what ended up happening. I feel like you have a responsibility to try to understand how people are going to react to what you say. You can't just put shit out there and say, okay.
No, I know.
Wait, let me finish.
I knew how you guys would react. You had the reaction that I thought you would have. It's weird that you think the reaction that happened wasn't the one that I intended.
What you intended doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's what ends up happening in the end after you put out there whatever you put out there.
But he knew that was going to happen.
Really matters.
What?
That's what has the real effect on people. Like, for example, boom. I mean, Tom McDonald can make a song about equality, but if the hook is just screaming white people, which he actually
Holy the page. For anyone who missed it, there was some fast, like, speed round Papegaism. This dude said, no, you don't understand, bro. You just don't think about what ends up happening. And what ends up happening is people getting really mad at you on Twitter. And, like, you got to think about that. And then he said, but that was my intention. I knew that was going to happen. That's exactly what. No, your intentions don't matter. What actually happened matters. But I just said that what happened is what I intended to happen. Oh, you know what? It's fine.
Has a song, then that's not what people are going to consume it as, right? That's not how people are going to interpret it. You know, maybe he can say, oh, I had the best intentions in the world, but in the end, that's not how it's going to be consumed by other people. People are going to see it as an attack. People are going to consume it as a racist anthem. That's what's going to end up happening. So even though you probably have the best of intentions, the way you see them through is something I completely disagree with, and I think is counterproductive to today's society and today's political divide and everything.
Okay, I think we're getting to the central point of what you're arguing here, and you know, here's the thing.
Tour de France, this way been riding. The way this guy been riding.
I think on some level you're arguing, and this kind of goes back to an initial point you made in your video. Like, there is an absolute inability to give shitty people any sort of recognition. And it sort of seems like in your mind, our inability to do that, what you read as an inability for us to do that, me to do that, anybody, just makes people more extreme and has more extreme outcomes.
Well, okay, that's kind of a reductive way of.
Well, I don't disagree on being reductive to some extent, but I'm really trying to like boil down what your belief is so I can like pinpoint it and then say my piece on it. So
well, my video was made in a way it's not just
if that's too reductive of a point, what additional context is there to understand what you're trying to get at?
My belief is that, okay, if you can't give credit to shitty people, for you, if that's where you stand, that's okay. That's okay. But the problem arises when you try imposing that on other people. That's when you see this counter effect happen. That's when you see the polarization happen. I think it's fine that you think that and you believe.
So what does Anthony have to do with this? How is the melon imposing on us? Is it because he's bald? What, how? His ass too fat. His bald head too big. His mustache too thick. We gotta listen to him. We have to.
And what's the bad result of the polarization? What happens as a result of the polarization? What's the downside of that?
What's the downside of that?
Yeah, well, don't just laugh at it. I really want you to know, in your view, what is the downside of the polarization that you think is so bad? What is the downside?
Well, we can't have no normal conversation.
I am so happy he asked this. I'm so happy that he asked this because I've been wanting to ask him this question this entire time. That's why I said earlier, polarization is fine. It's just we should avoid polarization about things that are within normal range of human behavior. Right? Like, it's fair.
People just react to things based on what group they're in.
Okay, and what's the downside of that? What happens is people are on different sides, they disagree, they can't see eye to eye. What's the result of that? What happens from there then?
People don't listen to each other and they don't connect in any way. And then each side gets more and more radicalized. That's part of why Trump is probably going to be elected.
Okay, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like you're saying that bro, that was my point. Are you saying like the disagreement and the polarization just makes people more radicalized? Is that your point?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and that's it. Just the raw radicalization is ultimately
the
like
raw
the
radicalization and how we combat that. How do we prevent that from happening? You know? Let's be reasonable about these things. Let's not just attack.
Okay, but like you see that there are some positions and beliefs that you can't.
There are some positions. There are some positions. There's nuance to everything. But you get what I'm trying to say in the grand scheme of things. You understand what I'm trying to say?
No, I don't, because the thing is, what I'm trying to get from you is like, where is the line when things become so extreme and so heinous and so ridiculous that we don't need to come to an agreement? We don't need to find the middle. We don't need to compromise. Like, when do things get so far that we're just like, this is too gross, we can't accept it? Because, like we couldn't look, I feel dumb bringing it up, but it's not like it's not coming out of Kanye's mouth. Like, you understand how we couldn't look at Hitler, Germany, 1940s and be like, maybe there's like, a middle ground here. You know what I mean? Like, obviously that was something.
So I personally don't think that there's necessarily a middle ground, but a good example would be, I am always willing to talk to people who disagree on what should or shouldn't be taught in public school. I think that there's a lot of people who are not bad people who have been tricked by modern cable television and Fox News that we are teaching kids too much about the transes, which in reality that's not even happening. But I don't think those are bad people. I think those are people who are misguided, who do not understand that they are being used, who do not understand that you do not have to be afraid of this issue. You should instead be afraid of, I don't know, rising healthcare costs, rising housing costs, rising food costs, worse standards of living, etc. But I am down to talk to those people. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down to talk to them because I do think there's interesting conversations to be had about what should and shouldn't be taught in schools. Like, I just don't think, for example, I don't know that I agree with like religious schools. At the very least, putting religion or religious courses in public school. I don't know, man. I think that school should be separated from church. I think school is a place for people to learn more about the world that they live in. And anything that serves that goal in a healthy way is good. I don't think getting kids into religion is a good idea. I think public schools should be very secular. I also think that in general, religious schools are very concerning how little they're regulated. Right? But that's a separate conversation altogether. But that's something I'd be down to talk about, because I have a lot of opinions about those things. And I think if you spoke to conservatives, I think we would mostly agree on what should be taught in schools. I think we all agree home econ should be taught in schools. I think a basic understanding of our tax system should be taught in schools. Or like basic financial literacy should be taught in schools. You should know how to fucking change a tire. And if your school has to teach you that, then it should teach you that. I'm not against taking courses that teach you about religion. I just don't want it to be a course that's just, here's Christianity, this is why you should follow this. But I think religion should be something that should be taught, like as a concept, right? Learning about different religions and stuff. Those are all things that I think should be taught, and I think we can talk about them. And obviously for the right, their opinions are like, I don't know if kids should be learning about the trans and blah, blah. And I think if we spoke to all these people, we'd be like, no, they're actually not doing that. They're just telling kids that it's okay to not know who you are or what you like or what you want to be. And you can figure that out as you get older. And when kids get older, we can teach them. That's fine, I think, actually. Yeah, I agree with conservatives. We shouldn't teach white people to hate themselves. We should be teaching anime fans to hate themselves. All right? No. It's just that conservatives are afraid of things that are not happening. Because they've been told that they should be afraid of things that are not happening. But you know what they should be afraid of? They should be afraid of the fucking top of the hour that comes every hour. And if you want to avoid the top of the hour that lasts for 3 minutes long, all you need to do is use your Prime sub here. That's what you should be afraid of. I knew it. Fuck you. Stop reading me. Stop. I caught the sickness. You hang out with Hassan once, am I right? Fucking once. Does Studio Ghibli count as anime? No. Studio Ghibli gets a pass. It gets a pass. I forgive it. How soft was Kaya? Kaya's very soft. She's just shedding a lot. More importantly, they're embarrassed by their ancestors, don't want their grandkids to find old pictures of them hanging in racist mobs. Yeah. Yeah. But like, yeah, public schools are not teaching white people or white kids to hate themselves. They're teaching like, hey, there were a lot of shitty white people that owned slaves. And a lot of these institutions that exist are still heavily influenced by policies that used to be here from when these racist fuckers were in power. And we should do our best to dismantle a lot of these systems. So, yeah. This is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. Yeah. Oh, Don Cruz. Fellini, thank you for the gift sub. I grew up a very diverse student body because it was close to the Harriet Tubman main roots. We had special days where all the classes did Black history activities, and it wasn't about shame, but about who historical Black figures were and how racism made their lives harder, like factually. Exactly. In the same way that like anyone here who's ever had to take diversity courses in the US in college, I had to take a couple. They were good classes. Initially, when I took those classes, I was like, this is fucking stupid. I am already like a raging fucking leftist. I don't need more classes to teach me to be a raging leftist. And I took those classes and I was like, wow, actually I changed my mind. These are good classes to have. I think me being forced to take, I think I had to take 2 diversity classes. One of them was like a intensive writing class on female literature. And the other one I think was about like South Asian literature. And when I was learning that stuff, I was like, wow, I didn't realize so much about this. And I think that that's good. I think it's actually good to have things like that. Because the number of people who like unironically think Black people haven't invented anything and women haven't invented anything is kind of concerning. The fact that there are so many people that have no idea that, like, for example, with women, so many inventions that were made by men were actually made by their wives, but they couldn't get it patented unless it was under the name of their husband. Or literature. The number of women that had to use male pen names or had to publish things under their husband's name. Yeah. Yeah. like if men wanted to have their women, correct? Yeah, they're women. Am I right? If men wanted to have their women be listed as an author, they could only, the most they could do is like a co-author. And even then they had to fight for that. And this is with having no ability to get a formal education, being pushed out of all of these fields constantly, and being pushed into, what is it called? Social norms and stuff. I mean, women got the ability to work and they got the ability to have credit cards, but they were still heavily pushed into being housewives. All while being in like very hostile work environments. Yep. And when you take a diversity course and you take a look around, you're like, oh, wow. That's fucked up, huh? Well, I'm glad I know this now. That's not teaching men to hate themselves. If you find out about this and you hate yourself, bro, go back to therapy. You need more work. Okay? I don't know how you took that personally. It's like stories about female teachers that like assault male students. I don't see that and think, you guys are being so mean to women. Like, do you want us to hate ourselves? It's like, no. I see those women and I'm like, those women are fucking creepy. Oh my God. Thank God I'm not one of those women. Jesus. So, moving on. The first time I heard legit black anger as a white person in my first university class, I was sold in complete solidarity. I would have been a different person if I had actually learned about that growing up. Yep. A lot of white male guilt in my experience involves acknowledging that you haven't done those kind of things and learning not to do them, LMAO. It's very, not to be a nerd, but anyone here watching Invincible? Second season? A big part of it is just like him being like, I'm not my dad. No, I'm not like you. I'm not like you. And that's like a lot, like that's a big chunk of it. It feels like that. It feels like those people that are like, they see that other white people are kind of shitty and they're like, how could you? I'm not anything like them. It's like, I'm not saying that you are. Relax. Relax. Haven't started season 2 yet. They released the first half of season 2 already, but the second half of season 2 I think is getting released within like a week or two. It's worse than season 1, but it's not terrible. It's not bad. I'm definitely going to finish it.
That needed to be thwarted. So it's like, at what point, at what position do we see things going so far that we're like, enough? It's too much. It's done.
The way we even get to that point is because of the polarization. The way Hitler gets even created is because of the polarization.
That's historically inaccurate. Like, ask any.
Actually, Hitler got into power because the liberals were too mean to him. Me when I lie. Me when I rewrite history. If only they let him into art school. Listen, if Hitler didn't get shadow banned on Twitter, that's not even accurate.
That's historically inaccurate.
Ask any World War II scholar. Hitler didn't come to power because people disagreed over things.
No, Hitler rose to power because people were desperate and people were fucking hungry for food. People were fucking looking for a savior. They were looking for a savior because they were put in a position where they had to, I don't know, in a position of desperation where they had to look for their.
Okay, I mean, look, you're getting closer to it. There are arguments that things like
closer, which I think is
destitution and economic disparity creates context for things like fascism. Sure.
Which is my current opinion about the US and Trump. I think the only reason that most conservatives are completely disillusioned or illusioned by Trump and think that Trump is going to save them because their material conditions are so gone. Like they can't afford basic necessities. Disposable income is a dream at this point for most Americans, most working class Americans. So yeah, of course, when you feel like your life is hopeless, you're going to try and find a savior who will fix your conditions. But this has nothing to do with polarization. This has nothing to do with polarization. This has nothing to do with like us being too mean to the rightoids. This has everything to do with us actually not being mean enough.
But like, do you understand how that's completely removed from people having different opinions?
No, the point I'm trying to make is how we get to a Trump being elected is by and a Hitler being elected. At point after World War I, everybody hated Germany. Everybody was
sorry. This sentence started out so nice and then it ended so mean. I think the guy who Fantano was debating was just not very good at making points, or like in general, just critical thought. I was like, yeah, I don't think he's a good debater, but like, I also don't think like he necessarily has good ideas. And then you just went for the fucking throat or critical thought. Yeah, me too, man. Not what I meant to press play on. Why'd the audio dip? Audio, come back to me. Mr. Mellon was too bald, it broke YouTube.
Or things like fascism, sure, but like, do you understand how that's completely removed from people having different opinions?
No, the point I'm trying to make is how we get to a Trump being elected is by and a Hitler being elected. At point after World War I, everybody hated Germany. Everybody was, not to be like sound stupid here. Fuck Germany, reparations, like they were poor as fuck. So in a way, that's just another instance of polarization. Like everybody's against us. Fuck them. That's what happened with Trump. I mean, we're in a predominantly liberal cultural age. I mean, considering the internet and everything. And what I'm assuming happened is all the Republicans saw that, like, we're constantly being attacked. We need someone who's going to speak for us. Oh, there's this charismatic leader who's going to promise us a better day and America's going to be great again. Let's flock.
How does he know? How can someone tell you that you're wrong and then you continue to like just make shit up? Sir? Sir. I feel like after someone tells me I'm wrong about something, I immediately question everything else that I think about that thing. Which is like happened before. It's like my understanding of something was so unbelievably incorrect. I was like, oh God, actually, we have to end this conversation now because I don't know how much else I have wrong about this topic and I need to go research it more, evidently. But I feel like, I don't know, just don't talk about the things you don't know anything about. Or like, don't talk from a point of authority on things you don't know anything about. Like, there's a lot of conflicts that I feel like I don't know enough about, but like, I would never speak from a place of authority on those things. Like, I want to learn. I want to watch videos with you guys and figure out more about certain conflicts and stuff, but I don't want to. What? Like, oh my God, this is just crazy to me. It's just crazy to me.
To him. Whereas if there wasn't that,
is he just saying we should never criticize the right? He doesn't even know what he's arguing for is the problem. That's the problem. And that's why Fantano's having like a hard time getting this guy to admit or say anything in particular. It's because he doesn't even know what he wants. He just wants to be upset that the left isn't nice enough. That's it.
Much like attack from the left, there wouldn't necessarily be a need to do that. There wouldn't be need for such a extremist political candidate. That's what I'm trying to say. So I think that need comes from that polarization. So I think, just to get back to what you were saying earlier, is I understand what you're trying to say with, like, there's certain extreme positions that we should shun and we should completely block out. But the way we even get to those extreme positions being accepted, like in a major way, is through that polarization. So our mission is, how do we reduce that polarization? How do we meet people in the middle and come to an agreement, come to a compromise, so we can stop a Trump from getting elected?
I don't really understand what you're going
You're
on
not
about, man.
wrong,
Like, you made
Trickfoot.
completely, you've made two completely different arguments. You've acknowledged that the rise of Hitler came as a result of the destitution of Germany, of the fact that their sort of favorability on the world stage fell after World War I, of the fact that people were starving and struggling and so on and so forth. How does that line up in your mind with Trump gets elected because liberals have opinions and they're attacking Republicans? How is that the same thing?
Because liberals are dominant, culturally speaking. Liberals hold most of the real estate. That's just a matter of fact.
What?
Real estate what? Like real estate physically? Real estate
in the
culturally?
marketplace of opinions, culturally, yeah, culturally. Like, it's predominant.
Sorry, I struggle so hard when people say, like, the marketplace of opinions. Oh my God. Oh my God. Candy, thank you for the 14 months.
A liberal culture. The culture is currently in a liberal. I mean, it's obvious because, like, I don't know.
Sir. Embryos are now people in Alabama. I don't know what world you're living in, but it's clearly not the same one that we're living in. He doesn't live in the US, by the way? Yeah, but he follows US politics and he talks about US politics and he criticizes leftists in the US. So I think you take a step back and realize, actually, no. Actually, no.
The reason we even have this whole cancel culture.
No, it's really not obvious in a world where we can't. And you don't even live in the U.S., right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, in a world where we don't.
I acknowledge there may be a disconnect there.
In a world where we don't even have health care for all, and on top of it, we have a far-right Supreme Court that won't even challenge basic written, plain as day ideas in the Constitution because it favors more their side of the political aisle. We're not living in this ultra liberal ideological state right now. Like, even Joe Biden, if you took him politically and ideologically on the world stage in Europe, for example, he'd be a centrist at best.
Right. I would think he would still be a liberal, but it's okay.
No, I mean, he's not a Jeremy Corbyn. He's not even a Lula da Silva. Like, he's not a far left political figure.
He's not a far left, but he's moderately left. He's not a centrist. Like, come on, let's be honest.
I mean, what I'm saying is on the world stage, he would be centrist. There are leaders across the world, especially in first world developed nations in Scandinavia and Europe, where he would actually be considered quite centrist.
Literally, this is not a matter of opinion. If you take all of the left-leaning, and I'm talking liberal, I'm talking leftist, I'm talking everything, every candidate in Scandinavian countries or EU countries or whatever, and you compare them to Biden is center right. At best. Just off of policy. I'm not talking vibes. I'm saying if you look at the policy, guess what? The left-leaning people in the developed European nations, they are pro everyone having fully paid for healthcare. They are pro reducing the costs of all medication so that it is affordable. Because what do the corporations need to do with all that fucking money? Insulin shouldn't be fucking $300, which luckily it's finally, I think it's, they got it to $25 after basically California strong-armed them in a way. But one example, just one of many examples. These things shouldn't be this expensive. And it's sad too, because Americans are so cucked that they're down to like defend American politics and be like, well, the company that made this drug deserves to profit from making this drug. They deserve to. So we have to pay that. Okay, so let me get this straight. The United States makes a drug. And then the United States sells that drug to make a profit for having made that drug and putting all that money into R&D. All right? And then we charge Americans a high price, you know, to encourage more people to make drugs. Is that correct? Then why are we charging every other country $10 instead of the $500 we charge Americans? Then why is that the case? You are so cuck-brained. You are so unbelievably cuck-brained. We make it. We scam the fuck out of our people. Because you have to understand, a lot of these people are like America First type people. And then we sell it to every other country for a fraction of the price. Well, just make it make sense. Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense. You have to understand that yacht prices lately have been insane with inflation. But like, that's one example. Healthcare is just one of many, many, many examples where Biden would be considered a right-winger in any of these countries. The way that we fund schools, Biden would be a right-winger. The way that we are so anti-green fucking energy, Biden would be a right-winger. How many oil deals has he fucking renewed? The fact that Biden renewed the deal to build the wall on the southern border would automatically make him a right-winger in basically any one of the EU countries. This is not a matter of opinion. This is not a matter of vibes. This is not a matter of how many genders are there. At least 3, Jack. This is not a matter of any of those ideas. This is a matter of policy, and the policy that Biden has, it's just simply right-wing relative to left-wing politicians in many other countries that are in the EU.
I'm talking about first world countries.
Yeah, no, I am also talking about first world countries. I'm not talking about third world countries. I'm talking about Scandinavian, European
I feel
countries.
like we're getting away from the point here. The point I was trying to make is when you push people into these corners and you just like completely shut them out.
Okay,
like,
listen. I understand your point. It's just
your point is based in vibes. You don't have any reason to believe these things. It's just what you feel like is the case, and you just feel like because liberals are so mean, that's why everyone's so upset. That's what you feel. Sweetie, facts over feelings. Why are men so emotional? Why are men so emotional? Please, someone answer my question for me. I want to know. What is it? Unbelievable.
Okay.
Why?
Like,
Why?
I won't disagree that there are parallels. That there are parallels between, you know, Germany at the point that we're referencing and America now, in that there are similar economic.
I don't want to use Germany as an example. We're in a completely
we are, because Kanye's a fucking Nazi. Okay.
No,
all right. And he's saying I love Hitler. So that's why the comparison's coming up. I won't disagree that there aren't parallels there, but but the parallels aren't because people have opinions and they're disagreeing. The parallels are because economically things right now are shit. The disparities between the richest and the poorest people in the country are worse than they've ever been.
Right.
And people can't fucking live anymore without worrying about where their next meal is going to come from, or where they're not going to be able to, you know, afford their bills over the next couple of months. It's fucking insane. And everybody,
that's not a cultural issue.
everybody far left, far right, somewhere in the middle.
Fox News and people like Trump have been saying things to make all these people feel like they've been backed into a corner, even though that's not really the case. He probably just doesn't really understand that. Yes. Yes. Right-wingers are like the best at convincing people things that are not happening are happening. The trans people are getting in the bathrooms. No instances of actual trans women assaulting cis women ever in bathrooms. Lots of instances of men walking into women's bathrooms and assaulting cis women. No instances of trans women. Weird. Interesting. They're putting litter boxes
because there are not enough women's rights to liberate them from their own toxicity, which is why the perfect man for you. I'm a feminist JKJK.
What was I saying? They're putting they're putting kitty litter in school for the kids. They think they're trans. They think they're trans animals. Not happening. There's a giant migrant crisis on our border. They are flooding our border. The actual footage is like 3 people passing by in an hour. Is an invasion. A lady and her 2 kids. They were being invaded. Like, they're teaching your kids about having sex as a trans non-binary. Reality is like, hey, some kids have 2 moms. Some kids have 2 dads. That's okay. Totally normal. No, they're teaching our kids how to have sex. Unbelievable. They're teaching our kids to hate white people. Reality. Yeah, this is what slavery was about. And hopefully we can do stuff to fix it and, repair the mess that we've been left with. The conservatives, if they are good at anything, it is convincing people problems that don't exist.
Is looking for a place to sort of lay the blame for all of this on. And often for people who are on the right, the answer to those problems is, well, it's people who are brown coming across the border and they're taking your jobs. They're making the economy shit, so on and so forth. It's other countries ruining our economy with their trade and their this and their that. It's because I'm not being given enough power as the supreme leader of the country, and you're just like, allowing me to do anything and everything that I want. That would fix everything. That would make everything better. It's not because like we've essentially allowed the rich and the 1% to use this country as a fucking economic playground. It's not that. It's other people who look different than you, who have different religions than you, who have different walks of life than you. That's the real problem. If only we were able to go back to 1950s, 1960s America, where, everybody who's not white knew their place, then the country would be great. Like, that's the sort of...
Dude, Baldy is spitting.
Wild out there, nonsensical fucking point of view that these people are deep in the belief of, that is not reality, that is not true. And
these takes are as based as his head is bald.
And the thing is, acting like the reason they feel that way is because trans people exist or people who are Mexican are coming across the border is preposterous. That is not a position we need to sort of like see the validity in, because it's not a valid position.
There's no validity in it, but you should still try to like, how do you say it? Convert those people. You should.
People do by telling them the actual.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
True.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, it has happened. There are people every day. There are people every day from the trans community, from the liberal world, as you might call it, who try to educate everybody widely about the actual effects of immigration. I'm
not talking about trying to educate. I'm talking about you're fucking stupid.
But that's the answer. Listen, every single day on Twitter, within articles, within scientific journals, within economic papers, these people are given bold-faced fucking facts about immigration, about trans people, about a host of different topics, and they look at this shit and they just turn it the fuck off. They're just like, that's just the deep state. That's just the liberal media. I don't care what that poll says. I don't care what that graph says. I only give a fuck what Trump says. Like,
so you just think that's irreparable? That polarization is just.
Oh yeah, look, there are some people who are too far gone. Like,
what do you mean by some people? What percentage of Republicans would you say are?
Oh, I don't know a percentage, but like, look, no matter what situation that you're in, there are going to be some people. I mean,
I know at least a small percentage. I know that I'll say it. I'll say it. Okay, I'll fucking say it. All right. If you vote for DeSantis actually knowing his politics, you're probably too far gone. I'm not talking about the people who vote for DeSantis because they're like, that guy, he's so cool, he gets it. I'm talking about the people who know fully what he's doing and are still voting for him completely. You're probably a little too far gone, I think, at that point.
And this is the reason I made my Kanye video. There's going to be some group of people around any topic, around anything, that are not going to listen to another perspective, no matter how well you put it, no matter what.
I completely agree.
Okay.
I completely agree, but we shouldn't just shut them out because there are some people. I think we should.
No, I think there's an extent to which you can, and it makes sense to shut them out, and all that you can really do is display to normal people how insane they are, just so that they know how far not to slip down the slippery slope.
But because of the polarization, there's less and less. I don't even know what you mean by normal people. Normal people. I mean,
anybody who's not in the fucking cult, you know, and can actually.
Bro, Trump is about to get elected president. That's 50% of your country that's in that category.
No.
What are we?
No, that's not 50% of your country. Oh, big boy doesn't know statistics. Oh, the baby. Oh, the little baby. What did we get last year? 60% voting rates? 60% of Americans voted? Let me check. 2020 voter turnout was at 66%. So 2/3 of our country. So 1/3 of our country is pro-Trump. How many of those people are pro-Trump because they have been dealt a bad hand? They grew up in a poor town or neighborhood or district or zip code, had a poor education, have been given way too many life challenges, be it through a lack of sex ed leading to higher rates of teen pregnancy. And I'm sorry, having to take care of a child while you were a teenager makes your life more difficult, objectively. I mean, having a kid in general just makes your life more difficult. Or people who were not taught like basic financial literacy because our education system sucks. Those people have been they've been dealt a bad hand. So they can't even understand the systems that exist, that are in place right now. And they can't understand that Trump doesn't give a fuck about them.
What are we talking about?
No, it's not. 50% of the country doesn't even vote most of the time. So
yeah.
It's not 50%.
To be clear, 2020 was just so high because of COVID. I think, let's see, 2016 election turnout. Excuse me. %40 of eligible voters in the U.S. did not vote in the 2016 election. Hot take, having a child makes your life more difficult is kind of a cynical take. No, I mean, I'm just talking about like in realistic terms. Like you might experience joy from having a kid, but it doesn't change the fact that it's more financially stressful because now you have to take care of one other person and their finances, whether they have to go to the doctor, whether they need like diapers, whether they need baby food or formula or food, doctor visits, whatever. You also have less time to yourself. It's just like it makes especially if you do not have, if you're already time poor, it makes your life so much more difficult than it already is. If you are rich or like you are financially capable, it doesn't even change your life. You just hire a fucking nanny. You think millionaires experience the same child raising experience that the rest of us do? Fuck no. Are you kidding me? They have nannies 24/7 and fucking chefs for that fucking baby. That baby eating better than I ever have in my life. Like, Now, it's kind of like up to you on whether, you know, having a child in that exact moment is right for you and whether the pros outweigh the cons. Someone brought up like having a dog as an example. This perfect example where I know people who say that their dog like saved their life. And yeah, it was more work and more time that they had to set aside for their pet, but it gave them so much will to like live and be better and whatever, that it was worth it. But it's the same idea. It's like if you having a kid pushes you to a version of yourself you never thought you would achieve and it makes you happy, perfect. Great. That's wonderful. But if it doesn't, it just makes your life worse because it just makes your life harder. But I mean, I'm like full-blown socialism on this one, and people should be financially incentivized to having kids. And people, regardless of their tax bracket, should be able to comfortably have kids. Like, you should have basic childcare fully taken care of by the state. Like, free daycare. You know, free baby supplies for the first, like, year, at least. Like the care packages that they have in Scandinavian countries, they should exist here. The fact that you have to pay like, I think, what is it? The average cost of childbirth in the United States at a hospital is like $16,000. Excuse me. Yeah, an extra year of maternity and paternity leave. I think in other in other countries, they have 6 months of paternity leave and 6 months of maternity leave. That should exist here as well. I don't care if you were the person who birthed the kid, you should still get time off to spend with your kid. Like, I don't know, I think kids need fatherly attention or like parental attention from each parent equally as much. I'm a single dad. I was 19 when I had her, and I practically raised her on my own. It molded me to be more mature and caring person. Ever since I've had her, I've been told I have the most patience of anyone that they've ever met. Yeah, and so like that would be a good example. Like if it's sort of one of those things where you either bend or you break. Having kids when you are maybe a little bit younger than is ideal to have kids. Ideal being that like you maybe still want to finish college, or you maybe still want to, you know, like join the military, or you want to join a trade school. It's just going to make your life more complicated because you have to set aside more time for your kid. And for some people, they break and it's too much stress. And for other people, they, I guess, bend and it makes them better people in all regards and everything. But like, don't have a kid to save your divorce though, or your marriage. Don't do that. That's bad. Don't do that. You're insane to do that. No. That's a trap. Yes. It doesn't work, guys. It doesn't work. I'm 39. My partner and I can't have a child because of money. We would both need the time off. And even if I didn't, my wife would. I know people that have money and work at a company that provides childcare and almost 2 years off for both partners. That's amazing. Like that those people get to have that experience, and it fucking sucks that you don't get to have that experience. Because you should be, I mean, I don't give a fuck about rich people having kids. I give a fuck about good parents having kids. And if the thing preventing you from being the best parent you can be is like the state just providing you a little bit of fucking help, yeah, it's gonna make me fucking pissed. I worked as a vet tech. It was crazy to hear how many single moms in that field have to work due to daycare costs. Yeah. Yeah. My nanny was my PS2. You were raised by your nanny. I was raised by my PC games. We are not the same. Okay, back to the video.
Country.
40, bro. 35. 30. The point is, like, it's you're putting too many people in this category. You put me in this category. I mean, the way you responded, the tone of your messages and the tone of your people.
What category is that? A category of people?
Nazi,
a category of people that don't listen to reason, or
a Republican ignorant piece of shit.
I don't know that you're
Nazi.
okay, wait. I don't know that you're Republican. Neither have I said that.
Okay, but that's what you're enforcing with your tweets, with the way you talk about these things.
I actually think most Kanye fans are pretty, even though obviously as a result of Kanye's rhetoric, there are a fair amount of Nazis in his audience now. I think your general Kanye fan is pretty, maybe not too politically plugged in. Not to say like that equates to being ignorant. I think most people are not all that politically plugged in. I just think a lot of his fans generally, outside of the fucking psychos who, due to his rhetoric, have kind of hopped on the bandwagon. I think most of his fans don't really dive that deeply into politics generally to have a super far left or super far right position.
And I don't think you're gonna educate them on anything by just fucking.
Yeah, no, I don't care to.
Don't do this.
I'm not
this
trying
is
to.
horrible.
I'm not
you
trying
shouldn't
to.
do this.
I'm not trying to.
You're not trying? Okay, so you're just having fun on
this. Is like the biggest boogeyman that the right, the online right, has created of the left. Which is that like the left runs around telling people, don't do this, stop, no. When in reality, in my experience being on the left, maybe I haven't been on the right side of the left. I don't know. In my experience, people will just say, hey, I am boycotting this. If you want to help, you should boycott this. And you kind of just look like an idiot if you just scream back saying, well, I'm not going to boycott it. Like the fucking Starbucks people. It's like, listen, if you continue to go to Starbucks, I don't care. I really don't. It doesn't affect me. And at the end of the day, at the very least, thankfully, Starbucks isn't fucking directly funding the apartheid. But like, you're weird to go on Twitter and be like, I love Starbucks. How many kids died so I can have this drink? Ha 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 ha. It's just like, you're weird, man. You're weird. I don't know why you thought that would be funny to tweet. Okay. I'm not going to be in their DMs being like, you should feel bad for your sir. I can't believe you're. I will. But like, if I'm friends with someone and I know that they're a leftist and they get Starbucks, I'm not going to fucking scream at them. I'm going to be like, oh, whatever. It is what it is. Like, you know.
Is what I'm assuming.
No, I'm showing to people who, again, might be sort of like maybe approaching this from a position of like, what's going on with this topic? What's this debate all about? What's all this hubbub about? Which is most people. And so they kind of stumble across it. They see it and they're like, damn, this is kind of insane. And you know what the group of people who are coming away from this looking, you know, more insane than me. I know that I'm insane for fighting with you guys, but it's because it is an insane act for me to take upon myself. Right. But you know, what's truly more insane by leaps and bounds is just being like, you know what, the anti-Semitic stuff that he's saying is fine. And you know what, I can listen to the record anyway because I'm not Jewish. No, that's actually the insane position. That's actually the position of insanity.
Well, we both listen to the record, so let's not. I mean, you probably listened to it more times and you platformed it on a much larger scale, and you're platforming me right now. So, I mean, we're both guilty of that.
We're not having a platforming argument.
Oh, we're not?
I am, Zach.
Okay. We're not. Okay.
That was established earlier.
Okay. So another argument I want to make is that the normal person, which you're referring to, is going to see the way you're acting. And
this guy is just getting lost.
I don't know how you think this goes, but I think like the numbers and the amount of people that are like completely fucking shitting on you reflects this, they're gonna see the way you're behaving and be completely turned off by it. They're gonna be
psychotic
turned off.
teenage
Okay, I can't
Kanye fans
verbalize.
are not your average person. When you actually leave the house and show regular, like, adult people the things Kanye is saying and he's doing, not morons who like turn up in the comments and be like, "Oh, you're 40 and bald." Like, those aren't normal people.
That's who you.
That's not your average person. Your average person out and about, going on about their day. You show them the things that I'm saying and you show them the things Kanye is saying. They're going to look at what Kanye is doing and be like, "That's kind of nuts. That's kind of insane." And his fans are acting irrational and defending him like he's a cult leader. When I'm talking about the children who are getting angry at me over the internet, no, not normal people, not your average person, because that's just provably not true. And on top of it, they're fucking kids a lot of the time. They're going to grow out of this little freak ideology that they're locked in once they actually get pussy for the first time. Or, you know, realize that once they have a conversation with somebody who isn't like them and actually challenges them on their shitty beliefs, they're going to grow out of that shit at some point. But for the time now that they're making themselves look like idiots, I'm going to point it out. I'm going to pull it apart. I'm going to punch up at it. And I'm going to make you guys look like fucking idiots shitting all over yourselves because you're mad that I didn't review some mid-ass fucking record.
Go in.
I don't think that's a realistic way of viewing things. I disagree with you on that regard, respectfully.
Okay.
I don't know how we're gonna come to an agreement here. I'm trying to like.
I didn't think we were going to, and it's okay. Agreeing for the sake of agreeing isn't necessarily like, you know, optimal.
Of course. But I think, listen, okay. To come back to my main point, I think the
holy moly
important thing, and the thing we need more of, is to have discourse over these things, and to like actually not just shut out everybody who you think may even have a slightly different opinion than
you know what, and that's what we're literally doing. Even though I vastly disagree with you,
I think it's
even
amazing.
though I vastly disagree with you on a lot of things, you're on here saying your piece and I'm saying my piece. I've invited you to have this discourse.
Of course, but what I'm saying is the way you've
he just like doesn't think about any of the statements before he starts talking. He just immediately goes into, well, you don't understand what I'm saying.
Conducted yourself on Twitter, most likely someone else who's who's less mature, who doesn't give a fuck, would react to it like, fuck Fantano, I'm gonna listen to the new Kanye. That's how people are gonna react to it. That's how most people are gonna react. If you say somebody can't think, isn't capable of thinking, they're not gonna be very charitable to your assessment right there.
You're forgetting that, like, you know, just to remind you and everyone in chat, okay? I didn't start reviewing music or Kanye yesterday. I feel like Kanye fans generally have a bit of a memory problem. I've been reviewing the man's music for over 10 years. And regardless of how level-headed, how even positive sometimes my coverage of his music has been, a lot of the Kanye fans, you know, opinion base of me has been fuck Fantano. Okay. So even when I've been reasonable, even when I have listened, even when I have critiqued with as much accuracy as I could, even when I have enjoyed his music, the position was fuck Fantano. So you can't really expect me to be like, there's any love loss, you know, when I'm like, you know what, this is kind of just unreviewable bullshit, because now Kanye fans are even more staunchly in the position that they've been held in because they're literally defending him for saying Nazi shit. So like it's been fuck Fantano, even when I've been fair, even when I've been level-headed, even when my views on Kanye's music have more or less aligned with the fandom on certain new records. It's been fuck Fantano. So there's not really any bridge being burnt there when we're talking about people who defend a guy who's said that he loves Hitler and people who have provably hated me for over a decade anyway.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make is
I've been trying to get through to those people. I've been doing it.
Okay, and now
to what avail?
Yeah, of course. And now your prescription is they say fuck me, fuck them.
Yeah, because the past 10 years haven't worked. Because the past 10 years haven't worked.
Where are we now?
Oh, I don't.
Has any of it worked? You tell me.
Oh, he sounds so Papage. Where are we now, Papega? Where are we now? I have to go back. I'm sorry. I can't.
Yeah, because the past 10 years haven't worked. Because the past 10 years haven't worked. I don't.
Now?
Oh, I don't.
Has any of it worked? You tell me.
I mean, I guess the position that I was doing before, and not that I feel like I'm entitled to people agreeing with me over whatever opinion I put out. The past thing didn't necessarily swing people to my opinion, so it's not like me just being more, I suppose, bold about it and unapologetic about it, and just sort of like, standing in process and just not reacting, but rejecting the concept of reviewing the album altogether because nobody's going to listen anyway. It's not like that's necessarily going to come out with a different result than just a normal review would. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, why again are you kind of putting onto me this outcome that I'm not even trying to achieve? Like, I'm not trying to convince Kanye fans at this point. I don't think I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to.
Trying to do. It's what you're doing on the surface. That's fuck everybody who's saying fuck me. You should be above that. You should be responsible.
No, generally I am with pretty much every artist, but we're talking about a guy who uses his platform to soften people to Nazism. And I feel like,
Moonbeam, thank you for the 10 months.
In that case, you probably should be fuck that guy.
Of course, fuck that guy is cool. But
because you think Kanye fans are the only fans that don't care about what I have to say. But the thing is, like, I could talk about other artists, and I could even bring up a lot of their moral indiscretions in reviews without sort of being reacted to in the way that I have been historically with Kanye fans, to where I'm being theorized as like secretly Jewish and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's horrible. I agree with you. That's horrible. I just don't think...
Okay, so you might understand that, like, in this really weird, unique instance where I'm experiencing this one thing that I don't experience with any other artist when I'm reviewing their work and commenting on their behavior, that I might have a different approach.
Yeah, but you usually... I'm not going to be obtuse here. You usually have the same...
No, there's nothing usual about this situation.
No.
We can't say what I usually do because there's nothing usual about this. There's nothing usually about it. I know what I usually do in usual situations, but there's nothing usual about this.
I'm not gonna pigeonhole myself just to this. I'm talking about everything.
Pigeonholed. This is exactly what I was talking about before, by the way, guys. If it's something that a reasonable person, I think, would do and would be guilty of, I think it's okay to separate the art from the artist a little bit there. Like, it's a good example? Jay-Z. Jay-Z, I think he cheated on Beyonce. But that's such a, it is so within human experience, cheating is something that happens so often, so frequently. Which, by the way, how the fuck, by the way, monumental fumble. I can't even believe. But anyways, that is well within the realm of like normal, reasonable, shitty behavior. Yeah, like I don't really care. It's not really my business. That's about their relationship. Lots of people do this shit. Probably everyone in here knows someone who has or knows someone who has been cheated on. So, like, it's not any of my business. It's kind of their personal relationship. It's definitely wrong. It's definitely morally wrong to do. But I would never tell someone to fucking boycott his music because of that. I mean, I wouldn't boycott his music because of that. It's not really, like, my business. I don't know, dude. Kanye? That is not within the realm of normal human behavior.
About the core principle of responding with fuck all of you. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's productive. I don't think that's gonna get us anywhere. That's my problem, okay? I mean, I keep repeating the same thing, but it's like, if it's okay for you, if it makes you feel like you're doing good, that's fine. But at the end of the day, I feel like the only thing it's doing, not just with Kanye, I mean, in usual, with that fuck everybody mentality, it's causing more polarization. You're not gonna convince any non-believers, and you're not gonna get anywhere. And the divide just gets more and more separated, and the sides get more and more extreme, and nobody wants to hear each other out, and everybody is calling each other pieces of shit and assholes. I think that's horrible. I think it's really sad, and I think the state your country is in right now, to the point where you've industrialized and commodified this political divide, I think it's disgusting and repulsive. And
Gracious Lord, think we love us. It is repulsive. You know, I just don't appreciate how polarizing you're being right now, Mr. Duplee. I just don't really appreciate how polarizing you're being. You're just being very polarizing. I just don't understand what it's achieving. I just don't think it's helping us for you to be this polarizing. I just don't understand.
I'm just happy I don't have to live there. But if I did live there, I would try my hardest not to play into that, because I recognize the trap. I see how it's not going anywhere productive. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, well, you know, I think we've had this conversation.
Yeah, we had. We're going in circles now. But hey, the point I'm trying to make after this is, listen, we don't need to hate each other. We can still come together and talk about things. After this, I'm not going to be like, fuck Fantano. I'm going to be, hey, we had this conversation. We disagreed on some things. Listen to it, hear it out. Maybe you learn something new. And that's it. Not be like, fuck, this dude is so fucking, look at this fucking stupid dude. Why is he saying what he's saying? Like, that's stupid. That's childish.
Grim Reaper, thank you for the prime.
And that's immature. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. I mean, I'll leave things by saying polarization just as a concept isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially when you find yourself polarized against positions or points of view that would lead to the extermination of innocent people. I think there are some cases, you know, and again, this is all case by case. I'm not embracing this just as a philosophy overall. I think there are cases where it's just fine to say, you know what, fuck that guy, fuck those people. I don't need to put in the effort to convince them, because there is a far larger swath of people, generally speaking, that see that group of people and see that disagreeable opinion and see that, you know, heinous point of view and just sort of see it as stupid. And I feel like in those cases, all you can really do is sort of highlight it as stupid for, you know, as many reasonable people as possible. And yeah, and that's just kind of, you know, my feelings on it. I don't think you know, softening people to heinous ideas is necessarily the answer here. And you know, it's fine to openly reject things sometimes without, you know, sort of like having a new.
I understand why he's called Melon. His head is so big because it holds so many truths. Wow.
Hello,
I feel like a
Debo.
changed woman. Flanking Frida, thank you for the months.
Nuanced debate about it. It doesn't, you know, it's not the sensible option in all cases. As somebody who is someone who's, you know, studied political science and has, you know, followed politics and political discourse for years and years and years and years, I'm well aware of a lot of different debates on a lot of different topics that generally I think are pretty fine. You know, I think are cool, I think are acceptable, but I think there's a certain point at which you could just be like, no, there's actually not like an acceptable middle position on this, you know? And I guess that's just where I'm kind of at here.
Okay, I just want to end things off by clarifying. I'm not advocating for a middle position. Nothing about what I'm doing is like getting people to get to a middle position. I hold an obvious ideology, obvious political ideas. I've condemned Republicans in the past. I have several videos on Republican rap. This is horrible. This is trash. Fuck this. But I think generally, and I'm glad this conversation happened. We should be, I don't know, especially people like me. I don't want to come to my own defense here. It sounds stupid, but like I'm relatively nuanced in my video. It's not coming from a bad faith. It's not coming from a bad place. It's like transparent. It's honest. I feel like you should tell me what your disagreements are without like calling me an idiot. Like not you necessarily, but other people. Like I think.
And this is my favorite thing, right? This is my absolute favorite thing that the centrists fucking talk about and say. And insist on, what is it called? Espousing this right here.
Calling me an idiot. Like
not you, but everyone else. It's like, dude, stop fighting ghosts. Stop. I feel like every single one of these centrists and conservatives always goes like, everyone is so mean to me, guys. Like, it's not you. Like, you've been great and everything, but like some people have been mean to me. It's like, dude, what do you think it's like to be a leftist? What do you think it's like to be a minority?
not you necessarily, but other people. Like, I think you should just be more accepting towards people who may not hold the exact political opinion you do. And I've seen a lot of people that didn't even watch my video. And they were like, fuck this dude. He's a Republican Nazi apologizer, you know, Nazi, whatever it is. So yeah, I mean, I think it's just sad. And I hope we can grow past that. But yeah, thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on, even though like the conversation wasn't that cordial at points. But yeah, I'm glad we had it anyway.
Okay. Well, you know, thank you for coming through and speaking your points. And, you know, I'll you know, commend you in the fact that, you know, look, part of the reason that, you know, I was fighting with a lot of those Kanye fans on Twitter is because, you know, especially the ones who were, you know, verified and so on and so on, you know, paying their Elon dollars, is because, you know, a lot of them would come through, get their little dunks in and like, you know, get their likes, get their retweets, get their whatever. And some of them I would approach and just be like, do you actually want to talk on stream about any of this? And like sort of, you know, give your opinion. And a lot of them would just not respond and sort of like shy away and just completely pussy out because I think a lot of them know, I think a lot of them know that their psycho opinions would kind of like deflate once challenged. And, you know, I think it's great that you actually, you know, put your face on camera, say what you say, stand by what you believe, and actually came through and made the attempt to debate and have this back and forth.
Yeah, more of this is what I'm saying. More of this. This is beautiful, right? I mean, come on. Yeah. All right. Thank you for having me on. It's been amazing. It's been wonderful. And shit, maybe another time if we have another topic we disagree on, we can fight it out on here. So yeah.
All right. Well, have a good one.
Yeah. Take care.
Well, there go the rest of my brain cells.